is home to one of the great temples of Amon, and its priests have to be brought to heel. Petiesse orders his men to search the temple. This is more than a place of worship. Temples own most of the land in Egypt and control most of its wealth. Petiesse knows from its accounts just how rich this temple is. He is under orders to redirect its wealth to the pharaoh. If he delivers, he will also make his own fortune. Petiesse has 2 priests beaten. It's a brutal demonstration of the pharaoh's power.
لا سيدي لا نشتغلوا.
تحت ما يخرج من هنا يحتاج هربوا ورجع الزرع كله اللي كان يرجع كل شيء يرجع.
The message is clear. After 4 centuries of independence, the power of the priesthood of Amon is at an end. In Tujoy, the priests will now take their orders from Petiesse. Two and a half thousand years ago, Petiesse's great-great-grandson wrote down his family's history. It unfolds in a papyrus 14 feet long that was discovered in the late 19th century. The story he tells is a tragic saga of political and personal revenge, the seeds of which were sown when Petiesse first took control of the temple. It's 11 years since Petiesse arrived in Tujoy, and the temple is flourishing. The wealth of the whole region flows in from the temple's vast estates in the form of grain. Petiesse is now the self-styled prophet of Amon, the highest-ranking priest in the temple of Tujoy.
تمت.
Amon is Egypt's state god. Every morning, Petiesse ritually awakens his effigy.
رديد يا هاي
He is attended by his junior priests, including the young boy he'd had savagely beaten a decade ago. Just in case the priests should forget where the power really lies, Petiesse has installed a statue of himself right next to the shrine of the god Amon. An inscription lists the titles he has granted himself.
حمنوتي أمون وحمحامي لبتي هامي ويري.
At the temple's expense, he has also granted himself a fifth of the temple's vast income, making him one of the richest men in Egypt. Petiesse is now the father of 3 sons and a daughter, Nitemhe. Nitemhe is now old enough to marry. For Petiesse, her coming of age is a chance to lay the foundations of his dynasty in Tujoy. In his account, his great-great-grandson describes the day in 649 BC when Petiesse brings an outsider to the family home in Tujoy.
حروج سيبفتيو أبستي رانف إلو بحدبي.
Horuj is a minor official from a nearby town. Petiesse first met him a year ago when he began looking for a husband for his daughter. Horuj has no money. In fact, he has debts which Petiesse agrees to pay off. But his family were once priests here. He has the ideal pedigree to be Petiesse's deputy in Tujoy. This isn't about love. It's about politics. The papyrus records the actual words of the deal.
Ari wahab on Amon rai isuntai. Ay dasnak.
Under the terms of the marriage, Petiesse will pass on all his titles and his wealth from the temple to Nitemhe and Horuj. The dynasty is secure.
إذا كان هذاك الصاموت أنا كنعرفو كيفاش عامل دائما هو مبرزيف دائما كيدير الضوء فرضة كبيرة. أشياء كل
Petiesse's thoughts now turn to his own future. He's been in the provinces for 11 years. It's been long enough. Petiesse plans to move to Thebes, closer to the center of political power. He'll leave his son-in-law in charge of the temple. Horuj is anxious. Petiesse reassures him that he'll always be protected by the pharaoh.
نعم هادشي كله سجلتيه ما خاصتش حاجه لا كلشي لا انت كلشي دايما
A year ago, Horuj was a minor public official. Now he finds himself in sole control of one of the great institutions of Egypt. He's inherited Petiesse's power and the riches of his lifestyle, but with them, a legacy of simmering resentment. For 17 years, under the pharaoh's protection, Horuj has enjoyed the fruits of the power he has gained from his marriage. But the passage of time has done nothing to temper the bitter memories of Petiesse's brutal regime. His daughter, Nitemhe, is now the mistress of the largest household in Tujoy. Over the years, she has become a shrewd businesswoman. Through her agents, she trades food and textiles up and down the Nile, produce of the family estate, adding further to the dynasty's considerable fortune. For the other priest families, life is much harder. To top up their meager salaries, they have to work their own small plots of land outside the town. Nitemhe now has a family of her own. 2 sons who one day will inherit their grandfather's fortune and his power over the priesthood.
Nove banke i svijet vam je kao na dlanu.
شد انت خبزك قريت هذا الفرق ديال الدجاج وانا قاعد سيتا اللي شويه كلها بشويه تمام ارضك بالفقار.
As Petiese's grandsons, these boys have known nothing but a life of luxury. While the rest of the country makes do with bread and beer, they, like other aristocratic children, feast on rare delicacies like hyena and Nile turtle. As long as they enjoy the protection of the pharaoh, Petiese's dynasty will continue to flourish. Miles south of Tujoy, in the temple of Karnak, a new deal has been struck. After a standoff that has lasted for 3 decades, the priests of Amon and the pharaoh have made peace. Petiese has been a leading figure in brokering a new settlement between church and state. As a symbol, the pharaoh's virgin daughter, Nitocris, has been installed in the temple as the wife of the god Amon. The priests of Amon are now the pharaoh's allies.
في غاية الفرح بأن أستقبلك في هذا الحفل الكريم.
وجودك في هذا المكان أضفى عليه البهاء والجمال.
رحمتك الآية.
Petiese has helped to forge a new political order, but he has not considered its impact on his family back in Tujoy.
كجواتني لما غادي نقطع لك شعرك؟
كنعرف ماما
راك وليتي راجل
هاكي شوية عليك
Nitemhe's sons have reached a turning point in their lives. The end of childhood, marked by cutting off a boy's sidelock. The papyrus records this significant moment.
Ishopi ishop, ihal snaw on harwaj si baftayo abasti, interu.
that he has reached puberty, Horridge's older son is to be circumcised. As the son of a priest, the ritual is essential to make him pure enough to serve the gods.
شوف وليدي غادي تصبر لكل ما غادي يوقع لك.
A third generation of Petiesse's dynasty has come of age. For the priests, this is a living reminder of their subjugation. News of the political settlement in Thebes reaches the temple in Tujoy.
اللي كان الاخوان هو ان الناس اللي تكرسوا علينا بزاف ياخذوا نماذجنا.
They devise a plot to overthrow Petiesse's family. The papyrus preserves their actual words.
Ijudis mi'una barrei. If iji baruftui nabahu tibnoiti im by humble. By humble. Onrumi ikhran. Onrumi ikhran. مش متفقين معاهم. باقي نقتلوهم باقي نسفكوهم. انت متفق معايا؟ انت متفق معايا؟ انت غادي تقتل معايا؟
At last, the time has come for revenge.
انت غتنقل الموت؟ متفق معاك. انت شوف فيها مزيان وهز راسك. هي ولا لا؟ متفق معاك. انت متفق؟ متفق معاك. وانت متفق؟ متفق معاك. وانت؟
أنا معك.
It's harvest time, when every family celebrates the festival of the goddess Renenutet. She's the lady of the fertile fields, the goddess of plenty, who is supposed to bring prosperity and good luck for the year ahead. The corn mummy that hangs over the grain store is meant to protect the harvest and the family's children from harm. At this time of year, the old corn mummy is burnt to rid the world of evil. But elsewhere in Tujoy, the priests are finalizing their plan to overthrow the family.
عندنا واحد الخطة دراري. الخطة ديال القتيلة وديال الذبيحة. اليوم غادي نجمعوا اليوم نهزوا الباطونات ونمشيو عندهم. واخا؟ من يمنتين هو او والرويه. سترنتين هو النابوتي. تم سونيتين هو او هينوي. شكرا. دراري يكون على خير.
Now that they have come of age, Horridge decides that his sons are old enough to collect the family share of the harvest by themselves. He leaves Hujoy to look after business on the far side of the river.
بابا ما كاينش عرفت دابا
With the servant in tow, the young boys set off for the temple. The events that follow are recorded in detail in the family history written by Petit Essay's great-great-grandson.
شو بدوا يوعيبو إيه حنوتي يبوش أنبوتي ينيسو يحلسناو ونحروج إيه حنوتي.
اهلا شو ندودش مرحبا بك بارك الله فيك وغادي نرحبوا بك غتجي عندنا غنوليو كل خطره فين ما بغيتي شي حاجه جبنا
صافي شكرا
حميد لانك دابا عزيز علينا كي داير واحد باباك
واش لاباس الحمد لله
ايه اش بغيتو احتاجتو شي حاجه
اما يا خاوي وبيرا فطوي
كنعطيو شي حاجه اخرى
علاش فين حقنا نزرع
ما غاديش نعطيكم الزرع غنعطيكم شي حاجه احسن من الزرع غادي نعطيكم العصا
علاش شنو درنا حنا
شو العصا
إني حلو وعبوني يحيو يقول حن نبوته وتو إندي حلسناو ونحورج. أتو أحراي ببيت وعب عوبتو إحراي ونسو. يوبهو انرو انتقح ونمون. حتبوسي ونسخي.
باغي ديما تهشكل خلاص العصا هيدا هاو العصا اللي داير راسها شكون سمعت كريم ويبي ياكلوا العصا كريم يلاه راه تضربوه
شنو؟
كريم ويبي
مالهم؟
ضربوهم
هدار
العصا
شكون اللي كيضربهم؟ شكون؟
Terrified that the priests will attack the house, the family's servants barricade themselves in.
ليلة الحي أبتيزي تمع أو ونبحلسنو جار بالسيء احرس. ليمون حرج انتيو جايان لفحي بي إيمونت. سالمسي حدبو بفشر سنو شاعت بحري وجوي
بخير توني
راي وجوي نيو يتشو جوي إنف معوشي لبش ونيو كراو نيو هوني طايف راسي ونكوتي ونبيه ونتنتن حي
Instead of going home to Tujoy, the records tell us that Horuj sets out immediately for Thebes. He believes that only Petiesse has the power to restore order in Tujoy. It will be at least 6 days before Horuj returns. Almost a week since his grandson's murder, and 28 years after he first arrived in the town, Petiesse returns to Tujoy. Terrified of the rebel priests, no one has dared enter the temple to bring out the bodies of the boys. Unless they receive a proper burial, Nitemhe's sons will have no chance of an afterlife. Their battered bodies are discovered in a storeroom below the temple. Their killers must be found. A manhunt is underway. Having found the dead boys, the police arrest their killers.
طائف أنسي إحراي أودني ومونخ شابي ونوخي عوم بتيمي
What kind of punishment will Petty Esse mete out to the men who have murdered his grandsons? The papyrus tells us,
Sauni waibu unju joy. Nimnius haime, new kratu e haluti, Petty Esse.
Three decades after he brutally took control of the temple, Petty Esse returns to the scene to confront the priests who have taken revenge against his family.
الكل يعلم لماذا نحن هنا مجتمعون. نحن مجتمعون من أجل الوطن.
إمشان بيفخيري أرتي أنهن بيفخيرتي كريك بهن تيمي إكي تعرف شنمي أني نيكي مي نيمت نوفا بيفخيري نا أمون سيموني أون تشاتشي
نيمات نوفا إيري أم بح أمون ني إيري نوتاي نوتو إيراي أم بح أمون. ناي وبابو إهراي نخلايور ني أي ريش إتيانوسي. إسبو إتهابوت أمون ناي نوتاي. نايتي أرونا تنميت التويمين تتشاس.
Petty Esse is trapped. He can't be seen to undermine the alliance he brokered between his cousin the Pharaoh and the priesthood of Amon.
إسبو إتهابوت أنامون نايوامون إتشاي بأيتيمي.
He can't protect his family, and he can't avenge his grandson's murder. Petty Esse's reign is over.
أنت تعلم يا تمثال العزيز أننا كرسنا حياتنا كلها
Before he leaves Tujoy, Petty Esse commissions a second inscription on his statue in the Temple of Amon. This time, it carries a warning.
Eden sinsiai ben on ebef. On edet naten hermoaf. Semen ahapen intaf. Nept esrafen hana sahuf. Ihat chichifi sino naf sawif. Hav emachranaf esiten ernihai.
There was a time when Petty Esse's words carried real power. In the new political era, the inscription is no more than a futile gesture.
المهم أن تكون رجلا وتتبع الخطوات التي وثقتها لك وما يكون إلا خير. يا أي أراش ونعمون وكيولك ليوي لتشاي ناتن فاين يا ابني سير.
Once one of the most powerful figures in Egypt, Petty Esse is now a broken man. He can't even offer his own daughter the protection she desperately needs. He leaves Nitemhe and her husband grieving for their murdered sons. Petty Esse never returned to Tujoy. And we know from his great-great-grandson's account that the priests of Tujoy did their best to destroy his legacy. Over the next century and a half, his family fought a losing battle to keep control of the temple. His eldest son followed him as prophet of Amon, but within a generation, the priests had evicted him and taken back all the family's wealth. By the time his great-great-grandson told this story, the royal dynasty of Petty Esse's cousin, the pharaoh Samtek, had been overthrown. But the priesthood of Amon kept its power. And defying the curse that Petty Esse had put on it, the priests in Tujoy destroyed his statue and wiped out all traces of his family.
اكتب لها كل شيء سميتها.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وجينا نبغينا حقنا.
The lawyer can't help them. The girls have no hope of getting back their inheritance. And their father has no chance of a decent burial. With his body dumped in the desert, his soul will never reach the afterlife. The twins are now without hope. But an act of fate is about to play a part in their lives. On the 7th of April, 164 BC, news of another death shakes the city of Saqqara.
سربي. يلا سربي.
The sacred bull is dead. This bull, called the Apis, represents the fertility and strength of Egypt. In its lifetime, it is worshipped. In death, it is honored as a god. In its temple in Memphis, the bull is washed and anointed with perfumed oils. Its body is drained of blood. This is the beginning of the bull's mummification. The whole process will take 70 days. In the Serapeum in Saqqara, the bull's death is exciting news. In 70 days, its mummified body will be carried in state from Memphis to Saqqara and buried here. The funeral will bring thousands of pilgrims to Saqqara. This is a national event that most Egyptians will see just once in their lifetime. The cult of the Apis bull demands two special mourners, virgin twins. Handmaidens who will guide it on its passage to the underworld. Towers and Taggis will be honored as priestesses. At a stroke, their luck has changed. They will receive a small weekly wage, just enough to live on, paid in the form of tokens. They also get a promissory note, a check that they will be able to cash in when the bull is buried in 70 days' time. It's worth a small fortune. Now, every day, until the next bull dies, the girls will dress in mourning to worship its spirit. For the first time since their mother threw them out, they are secure. At this time, Taggis tells Ptolemaeus one of her dreams. which still survives among his letters.
تينو إرو حمل نوفا جن إرو أن أرسو جاي بيموح إخط أن تشيسم أن وحبر طال ما أو أحد جن تيستو تيكو أن سخاواتي نفر إرو إبسا أن ويب تموت إرو سجاي شوفي وجهك لبنتي إسبي محصن أنصب إتنوطف إبل إرو حاطح صن أنصب إتن إسبي ما أمو أن أي أنفر أو إحمو حمبوي حمبوجي تموت إرو سجاي تواشطر إحمو تواشطر إحمو
Despite everything she's done to them, the twins still long for their mother's love. At the Bull's Temple in Memphis, the job of mourning begins. As handmaidens to the dead bull, Taurus and Tagiz are now celebrities. But soon their half-brother Pacrates reappears unexpectedly in their lives. In their letter, the girls take up the story. Pacrates has done nothing to help the twins. They've no reason to trust him. But he manages to convince them. Perhaps Tagiz believes he'll be the way to the reconciliation with their mother she longs for. Whatever their reasons, the girls take Pacrates back to Saqqara with them. It's a decision they will regret. For hundreds of years, each Apis bull has been embalmed in exactly the same way. The process is described in a document that still survives today.
آتي حنو تحني قاس سوق حر أمو حرعات قاس ونوتي كون حر حاونوتي دير أنتي نوفي أموخي أمفوتي ور حاونوتي حيرو النوتي إلي معا يرسل.
Organs are removed, washed and dried in salt. Only its heart, which the Egyptians believe is the seat of the soul, is put back into its body. Is considered to be of no importance and is removed through the nostrils. The bull's body will then be covered with salt for 40 days and finally wrapped in linen, ready for its burial in Saqqara. On the day of the funeral, the traders in the Serapeum get ready for their biggest business opportunity in a generation. Pacrates, who has been living with the twins for the past 2 months, will be left behind while they go to Memphis for the start of the procession. He discovers their promissory note with the rest of their earnings.
ما أعطيكش بزاف تنبعد وقضي.
خلقت.
أجاز. نعم. أجاز. نعم.
يلا انتي ديما معطلانة. يلا زيدي. يلا انت تبعني يلا زيد. تبعني.
Now it seems that Pacrates also has business in Memphis. The high priest of the cult of the Apis bull is about to appear. The funeral has begun. The bull's sacred twins, take their place in the procession to Saqqara. While the procession goes through the streets of Memphis, the twins' mother gives her instructions to Pancrates. He reaches the Serapeum well ahead of the procession. The bull and its servants descend into the catacombs, where it will be buried. Tawis and Taggis will now remain virgins and serve the Apis bull until they are replaced by the next pair of twins. Could be 20 years before they regain their freedom from the temple. Only the promissory note guarantees them a future.
فين هما الفلوس؟ الفلوس ما كاينينش. قلت لك ما تثقش بخاطر. قلتها لك. شوف. خليها تشد. بخاطر! بخاطر!
لاباس عليهم. شكون هي هذه؟
جوانيات ولاو لاباس عليهم. عندهم الحق يشدوا الدقيق والسكر.
The twins have lost everything. Their savings, the promissory note, and any deluded hope that their mother loves them.
دابا اللي غادي يشوفوا شنو يبقى لهم.
In the dream chambers of the Serapeum, the twins compose their plea to the Pharaoh. The letter is their last resort.
On pénètre. Et pompé. Dijikelawi. Et pompé. On osihapa. Itum totinas. كبس اترستوس وكيانيم أمبينيوت اتكوناس حنو وأسي خبر أترتونتي حموتنان مارتونتي أوتشاي
مارتونتي أوتشاي شكرا
كنتمنى توصلوا
ما يكون غير خير إن شاء الله.
إن شاء الله.
The twins' letter was never answered. Perhaps they were naive to think that the Pharaoh would help them. And we can only assume that they never got back their stolen fortune. We know from his archive that Ptolemaeus lived out his life interpreting dreams within the confines of the Serapeum. It's his brother, Apollonius, who gives us our last glimpse of the twins. It seems he fell in love with Tagias. And in a letter written 4 years after these events, he says,
Tishone in temperus pecentahogi. Aspe pitnasopenan.
Beyond this, we know nothing more about the lives of the twins. Saqqara, the city of broken dreams, is now a desert. Dominated by the 5,000-year-old pyramid of King Joseph. A 150 years after this story, Egypt was absorbed into the Roman Empire. The Serapeum Temple was destroyed. But below ground, the catacombs of the Apis bull cult still survive. They were rediscovered in the 19th century. Over 60 bulls were buried here. Each of their granite coffins marks the lives of a pair of sacred virgin twins.